Welcome to What's Your Story, where we, Jaime Marco,
and Stan Brown,
delve into the extraordinary lives of everyday people.
Listen in as we uncover the unique tales that shape who we are,
one story at a time.
Hey, let's get ready to explore today's story.
Let's do it.
We're back?
You're here? Who are you doing here?
I never left.
You here?
I slept here. I have my Magnum PI shirt on. Love that guy.
I love it. Well, I met Tom Selleck. Do you remember that?
Was he wearing his toupee at the time?
He doesn't have a toupee.
One of the best in the business. Yes,
no.
He was actually on a couch. He was slightly inebriated.
No.
He told me he was drunk, handing out Halloween candy.
He was on the front porch of a house. So we lived in California. You know this, but listener, I lived in California for, what was it, like 10 months maybe?
Less than a year. The business opportunity didn't work out.
Okay. So we moved out to California in the middle of my freshman year. And we lived there from the middle of my freshman year to the middle of my sophomore year. And such a great experience. Like, I know for you, it probably wasn't, but for me, it was such an incredible, for so many reasons, like eye-opening experience. However, we won't go into that.
I did something good.
You did a lot of good things. So that's for another conversation. But I remember going trick-or-treating for Halloween. And we lived in Agora Hills, Westlake Village, kind of interchangeable. And I went trick-or-treating. I was a freshman in high school, and we're going around.
For the listeners out there, big star area. I mean, Heather Locklear lived there. Michael Jackson was down the street in Agora Hills. A lot of star people. They couldn't live in the city.
JTT, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Yeah. My theater teacher in high school was on the John Larroquette show. Do you remember that show?
Sure.
Show. So he was like a musician on the John Larroquette show. So crazy. I mean, so many crazy stories of California. So we were trick-or-treating and we walked up to this house and I'm like, oh my gosh. And my dad knows this, but listener, if I see someone who's famous, I feel the incessant need to tell them who they are. So I said to him, you're Tom Selleck. And he was like, no, actually, I think I said, you're Magnum PI. And he was looking at me. I'm like, you're Magnum PI. And I was like, you're Tom Selleck. And he was handing out the fancy, like big Snickers bars. Like that was like a big deal, like a big Snickers bar. And he was a little inebriated. You know, I was like kind of having fun. He was so nice. I think it was like his brother or his sister, because he has twin nieces who went to my high school. So I don't know the relationship there, but he was so nice. And this was before he was on Friends. But I always thought he was just a hottie. I liked him a lot. And he was so nice.
Is the shirt doing it for me or what, huh?
Yeah, Dad, you look like him. You look very, very much like him. I'm not attracted to you like that, just so you know.
No,
yes. But I remember seeing Jerry Springer. May he rest in peace. I met him a couple different times. He was on my
lives here in Sarasota. He lives here in shopping. Sure.
Yeah. So he lived in, he was on my airplane one time and David took our daughter over and stood next to him so we could take a picture without like him even knowing he's in the picture. We were flying back from Chicago to London or somewhere like that. And then he was in a restaurant with us. Another funny story. Such a nice guy. So nice. But I saw him at the mall one time and he was walking out of a store and I was like, you're Jerry Springer. And he was like, yes, I am.
You need to overcome that.
I know. I'm like Captain Obvious. He was so nice. But anyway, so Dad, I'm excited today because I feel like your question that we've had for the past couple episodes about the UFO, if any one of our guests that I could think of would have experienced that, our guest today would have. And the reason being is that she is an incredible human. I'm lucky I'm having a good hair day today because
you got Shakira here, baby. I love it.
She is behind the curls and the hair, the color, it's natural color, of course. But she's behind all this. But she is incredible. And I get to meet with her or see her in person every couple months. And every time I'm with her, the energy is amazing. But her story, she's very connected to different parts of our world. And I'll just leave it there. We'll get into it.
Hey, Jaime.
Welcome in.
Jaime.
Yeah.
What's her story?
Oh, let's get on into it. Here we go. We're going to enter in Amber Carlson. So here she comes. Let's go.
Amber.
Here she comes.
Amber. Amber.
It's an Amber Alert, but in a good way. It's an Amber Alert in a good way.
Hello.
Because the other ones are bad. But it's like amazing. And I've known Amber now probably for almost a year. Gosh, maybe a little over a year. She would know better by looking at her appointment
calendar.
Can
we do this telepathically?
We are. You know what? It's okay. Like listener, as we do these, you can watch us. You can watch us on YouTube, and you get to see like exactly what's happening. You may be listening to us through Apple iTunes or through Spotify, but as we like navigate getting people on, sometimes the technology isn't always where it
Don't
needs.
watch today. I have no pants on.
Oh, so
And neither does Amber. Right, right.
Hello.
Yay!
Hello.
We finally made it happen. So, listener, we have been trying to get Amber scheduled, and then we had to cancel, and then we had to reschedule. And she is the most flexible, amazing human in the world. Maybe she can bendy as well. But thank you, Amber, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's going to be fun. I'm
I know. I
excited.
just, I just said I'm having a great hair day, and that you have to do with it. Look at it. Look at the color. I mean,
Mine isn't that great today because I was cooking and the humidity was making my hair go all wonky. But yeah, it's what you
well,
get.
you're responsible. It looks good to
I
me.
mean, you look
You're responsible
great.
for this. So there you
You're
go.
a great stylist. I need to get her card.
You do. Well, Amber, meet my dad,
Hello,
Stan.
Amber. Nice to see you.
Hi, Jamie's dad, Stan.
Pleasure.
So have I known you? I was trying to think, like, has it been over a year that I've known you? I feel like it has
Oh
been.
gosh, let me look at my book. I can
I was
tell you,
just
it's probably been over a year. I would even say close
almost
to two,
two.
maybe.
I know, right?
Yeah, there you is. Hold on. Um,
I feel like it's
It's
been.
23, March 7th of 23, I believe was our first meeting.
Ooh. So our anniversary is in March 7th. Okay, I remember that. 2 year anniversary.
Yeah, almost 2 years, year and a half.
I know, that's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
there's so much like, listen, I was sharing that I know you because, you're my hairstylist and I'm so grateful, but there is way more to you than just that. So my dad doesn't, I briefed him a little bit about what I know about you, and also obviously your listeners. And the goal of our podcast is just to like learn stories about people in this world, what they're doing, where they got to where they are now, where they started. I'm going to apologize in advance because my dad's about to ask you a question that he's started asking over our past episodes. But I said, if anyone might say yes to this, it could be you. I'm not sure. So, Dad, would you like to go ahead and
Sure, of
start?
course.
Actually, before we do, hold on. Before we, should I ask? Let me ask
No,
this.
no, 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 no. Amber,
Oh.
Yeah,
are you
I'm
single?
scared.
Oh,
She is single. She
wrong,
is
wrong
single.
podcast.
That's not the question, though.
Okay, go ahead. Calm down. Let's do it.
What little I know about you, but there's a connection to the natural, organic world, the world of energy, the world of chi, the universal that inspires us. Have you or anyone you know personally ever had a firsthand UFO experience?
Not a UFO. I don't think. I think I saw one, honestly, but like in the
Long
sky.
time ago, long time ago?
No, actually, not too long ago. It was kind of maybe this year sometime I saw one.
Nighttime, daytime?
Nighttime.
Could it have been like the Starlink or some space junk or something?
You know, I know because the way it zigzagged, is that a word? Zigzag?
Yes,
It is
now.
now.
Zigzagged. Holy zigzagged and zigzagged, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm sorry. Zigzagged in the sky. I was walking my dog around my pond and I saw this like light and it was just standing still and I thought, oh, I thought it was a plane or
What color?
or
What color? Was it white or color?
it was white.
Yeah.
White. It was a white light. And then it just kind of went down and then went back up and I was like, oh, what is that? So yeah, but I do believe in them.
Did it
Honestly.
stay there the whole time you were walking the dog?
It moved across the sky in like a kind of zigzag.
And then it was
Kind of.
gone.
Zigzag.
Yes.
Then it was gone.
Yeah. But
Hmm.
then I think I lost it or something. Either it disappeared or I just lost wherever it was at
Did
going.
you wake up in an open meadow and felt tired?
No, but that would explain a lot of things.
Has anyone ever seen a UFO during the daytime?
I
Or they
did.
only come out at
You know,
night?
I've seen videos where they saw them. If they have those videos out there.
Huh, interesting. All
But-
right. So, I don't know. All right, here's my next
That's
question.
done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Scale of
You're
1
welcome.
to 10, 1 being is a day that you should not like be interacting with other humans today because it's just a day you should have stayed in bed and not gone out of bed. To a 10 being you're living your best life, the best day you've ever had. What is your number today?
My number today,
Yeah.
I would say like an 8.
Ooh, I like
Impressive.
that. What would
Yeah.
it take to have you go from an 8 to an 8.25? Just a quarter higher.
If my food turns out really good tonight.
What are you making? Well, so tell us what you're cooking.
I'm making cabbage rolls.
Ooh,
I've
what is
been
the
craving
special
cabbage.
occasion?
Just it's my turn to have a neighborhood dinner.
Nice.
So I've been craving them, and then everybody has had their dinners a couple of times, and they're like, Amber, it's been a while, and I'm like, oh, I guess I have to now.
How many people participate?
It's just my closest neighbors. So there's going to be maybe two, three, four, six people coming, seven, including me, myself. I guess I have to include myself in seven.
And they come and they sit, like you all sit down for dinner at a table, and
Yeah.
like you all, that's
Mhm.
so nice. How often
What
do
is
you
the
do that?
cabbage stuffed with?
Oh,
Um, Beef. This one will be beef. Usually you do like a pork and beef, but I couldn't find ground pork. I had the hardest time finding cabbage at that too.
Mm.
huh.
Yeah.
And then is this once a month you guys do this?
Yeah, we do it about once a month, and our neighbors are down. They kind of they're kind of snowbirds, but they come like all year. Here a couple
Oh,
weeks or a month, and then they go back to Georgia. So they had theirs when they were here, and then my other neighbor was like, "Well, Amber, you haven't had one for a while," and I'm like, "Okay, well, it's on. It's a challenge. Let's do it."
I love it.
But
And
it was
one thing,
fun. We used to do it during COVID. We started it. I
oh,
started it actually during COVID because what are you going to do but cook when you couldn't leave your house? So I
yeah.
cooked it, and I would take little Tupperware and put them in front of all my neighbors' doors
Aw.
because I always make too much food.
Where does your cooking come from? Like, who taught you how to cook in your life?
You know, my grandma did, and she did not like cooking, but she was like, you need to learn how to cook. You have to learn how to cook. She goes, I don't like it, but you have to learn how to cook.
How
So
did
she
she
kind of
teach
taught
you?
me.
How'd
And then
she?
I've been on my own for so long that you kind of teach yourself from the little
Yeah.
stuff you've learned along the way.
Do you have any like family recipes that she gave you when she was teaching you that you still cook to this day?
No, actually, she was more of a baker than a cooker
Okay.
or cooker.
Yeah.
But so I learned how to make her fudge. I still make her fudge, but I don't make it as often because nobody wants it's too
Too
sweet. So
rich, sure.
yeah, it's too rich, too
Oh.
sweet.
Don't
So then
don't
it
tell
never gets.
Kilwins that.
And
And I learned how
tell,
to make that, her fudge and cookies and stuff.
where was your grandmother from?
She was from Missouri. She was born in Missouri.
Ooh, the show me state.
The Show Me State. Yeah.
So tell our listeners where you grew up and where your life started.
I grew up and was born in Denver, Colorado.
Our
And
last guest was
I
from Denver.
moved here probably when did I move here? 2001.
Why here?
I followed my ex out here and his family.
But what about the restraining order?
Well, it's still in effect.
Sorry.
So in Denver, you have quite a vast community in Denver that you were living there. And when you grew up there, tell us a little bit about like what, you were in Denver since lived there for a lot of your life. Probably actually by now, it looks probably, is it 50-50, half
It's
Denver,
probably
half?
about 50-50 now, almost. Yeah, I moved here when I was 30. Well, I won't tell my age too much. We'll just say 30.
Well, less than 50,
And
we'll
then,
go with that.
yeah. So, yeah, a little bit less, but almost 50-50. Yeah. But I go back every year. Every year I go back around Thanksgiving. Sometimes I go back 2 times a year because I grew up in Denver, but my family lives in the Four Corner area but near Durango.
He
So I
may
go
be
there
there
for
for
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving this year. I shouldn't say that.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Just ignore what he just
We'll
said.
be in Denver for Thanksgiving this year.
This is
Christmas.
airing
I
after
actually
Thanksgiving
I
anyway.
won't be there this year for Thanksgiving, but that's okay.
Okay.
This is airing after Thanksgiving anyway. So we would have already
Oh,
been
okay.
and gone and come back.
And digested all kinds of
Right.
stuff.
And I'm still digesting the turkey and all that good stuff. So when you were living in Colorado, what was you grew up there, what was your life like? What were you doing when you were living in Denver? What was your life like there?
I went to school there for hair, so I'm a hairstylist by trade, and I started hair there and kind of grew. I did all kinds. I managed 2 salons. Then I went to a more where the business side where you have your own salon, and so vast education there to
Did you
come.
know early on you had an affinity for that kind of creativity?
I did. My aunt had really long hair, and I used to love to play with it. And then I always wanted to do what she did, and she was sort of a kitchen stylist, so she always did my hair. So
That's
I was like,
fun.
I want to do that. And then so I knew I wasn't college bound, so that's what I did.
That's
I
fabulous.
went to a vocational school during high school, so and then started work right after.
That's amazing. But that's not the only thing that you do. So you also have another side to who you
Excuse me.
Bless
are.
you.
Yeah,
So yeah, God bless you, or I don't know if it was a
Yeah.
sneeze or a cough, but just bless you in general.
thank you.
And that in itself, like, and listen, I think people, so my husband's family are all hairdressers and stylists, and it's a hard job because first of all, you're like literally dealing with people's appearance, and if they don't like it, who do they blame, right? So that's got to be hard. I want to dive more into that as well in a moment. But you also help people not only look and feel their best, but also feel their best. So tell us a little bit about that side of what you do as well too.
Well, I do energy work, which is the mainstream call it Reiki, which is more popular name for it that people, but it's basically hands-on healing or healing. There's different names for it. People, it's just whatever you're familiar with. Most people know Reiki, and it's just dealing with people's energy. Everything's made of energy, trees, grass, people. So when you interact with people, you can pick up their energy, especially if they're having a bad day. And people are more sensitive. You can pick that up. And like when you walk into a room after an argument happened, most people can feel like, ooh, what just happened in here? Even if you don't have no idea what energy, that's energy. It's a, so sometimes that's what I do. I just kind of help to balance out people's energy. It's really great for post-op surgery. It helps the heal and get energy into those post-op surgery places. To help to heal a little bit faster.
How early on did you realize how early on in your life did you realize you were sensitive?
All my life. I
Really?
didn't know about the healing part or the energy part. That kind of came later. All my life, I've been sensitive.
Where
My
did that come
earliest,
from?
my earliest memory. Oh, I was probably 3 or 4. Probably 4. I'll go later. Probably like 3 or 4, but around that time,
And
yeah.
safe to say, all your life you've seen some things that other people don't see. They're out in the
Yeah.
open. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If a young child that doesn't understand, it can really be a kind of a curse to see these things and no one
Mm-hmm.
else would know what you're talking about.
Well, what
Right.
is that? What was it at 3 or 4 that happened if you're willing to share with us that
Oh, I can share. I'm completely open. I saw spirit.
how in
Mm.
what form, like what
A full operation. Full
really?
operation. Yeah, we lived in my family called it the White House, and it wasn't a big house. We just called, for whatever reason, we called it the White House. And there's a cellar. I don't know. Everybody, I don't know if people know kind of what a cellar is, but
Like a
we walked up
basement?
the stairs, and then it's like and then you could walk outside through the thing. My
Sure.
grandpa always worked with wood, and so my grandmother, she said, "Go get your grandfather for lunch," and I'm like, and I always was so scared to go down there, so I like crept down there really slow, and in between, like we called it the storage area, pantry area. Through the door, there was a lady, and she was rocking in a rocking chair, and it looked like I can still see her today. Like she was sewing, she was like kind of pilgrimish, and then being in
Wow.
Colorado, it could have been pioneer woman at that time. So and she was and I freaked and I ran back up the stairs to tell my grandmother, and my grandma, she kind of got mad at me and didn't believe me. Later on, I believe that she was sensitive too, and it scared her
Well,
that I
was the apparition enough like a real person, or it had kind of a gossamer, kind of a wispy kind of?
no, it looked like a full person sitting in a rocking chair, as if you were sitting right in front of me. Yeah.
See, Jamie, it's a URO, an unidentified rocking object.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
And did she make contact with you, visual
No,
contact?
huh? And even looking back, she wasn't like scary or anything. And in learning more about
Wow.
that, it's more like a residual energy. So I don't know if she lived on that land prior to or something like that. But yeah. And then when I was made to go back downstairs and get my
Right.
grandpa, um, he was very, very he was very kind to me, and he was like, well, we'll just go out the cellar doors and in through the back door, because I ran to him, and she was gone by the time I went back down there. But we always had issues in that house with stuff happening all the time in
Did
that
you
house.
know the history of the house? You really didn't know the history.
No, but I should probably, when I
Oh,
go back to Colorado, I should actually try to find.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never
How
did,
many,
because we moved away from there when I was like 4, 5, into a different house. So
how many experiences like that have you had in your lifetime where you've experienced seeing
all the time.
a lot all the
I
time?
don't
Yeah.
see. I think as you got older and you get jaded, and
Yeah.
and my grandmother, she was sensitive too, but she was afraid of the gift, because being that age, they're told, this is wrong. It's the evil devil work, whatever. And so she was always afraid it would not kind of like say, oh, you didn't see that or whatever. So as you get older and you get jaded and you're told you're not seeing what you're seeing, you're not feeling what you're feeling, it kind of goes away a little bit, never fully, but
Mm-hmm.
and then later on in life, I was probably in my 20s, early 20s. I went through a very bad depression state. And I remember sitting in the church parking lot at 10:30 at night, and I just started praying. And then after that, I started opening up more to the spirit and spiritual side of myself, and things started coming back around. I started seeing, feeling. I can still feel if there's a spirit near, or I see orbs, and I can
Wow.
pick up on people's energy and how they're feeling. But with that, it's like everybody says, a gift and a curse, because you don't want to feel what
Sure.
people are feeling in the world sometimes.
Has
Yeah.
the same spirit reappeared, like almost a guiding spirit, to your own personal spirit? It's been different experiences.
Yeah, I have my own.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How do they communicate, if they do communicate at all?
It's it's like speaking another language, right? And it's specifically for you and your guides. So you kind of have to go and meditate and make contact. And so sometimes they will give you a feeling. Like, so if you're talking, and not one that's popular with a lot of people and they don't understand what it is, and maybe they do, but it's like when you're talking and you say something and you get goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
That is a confirmation that what you're saying is correct, and the universe is kind of agreeing with you. And they'll give you senses, like I've smelt stuff like, oh, what does that smell? And it'll remind me like of something, or whatever you're talking about. So you kind of have to figure out what your language is with them a little bit.
So it's
If
really
that
not
makes sense.
audible. It's more thought oriented.
Sometimes it's really hard to, well, not hard. It's you have to raise your vibration, and they have to kind of lower theirs to be able to really hear them more clearly. I have heard it's just easier, I think, because it's hard to keep your vibration that high and then to come down. It's easier in dream state, so it's easier to communicate
Mhm.
in like meditation, dream state,
Yeah. It's
for
so
them
funny
to come.
that you say that. I remember, so I had dated, I was in my 20s and I dated this guy who I knew in high school, and his mom had passed and we were living together, and I was falling asleep on the couch taking a nap. And I feel as if it just happened to me today. I felt her come to me, put her hand on my shoulder and say to me, take care of my boy. And I was in like a nap on the couch.
Oh, I just got
Kind of like
goosebumps.
see,
Mm.
there you go. So like I remember that like as if it was like, as if she was, and she knew me because I knew him in high school. And it was like she was really there, but I was in a dreamlike state to where
They're more connected,
you're
I'm
napping
sure.
on the couch kind of thing. Dad, have you ever had that experience before?
Well, yeah, you see, in the dream state, so many different things happen. One thing, I wish I had kept a notebook by my bed, but one night I woke up again, these experiences are very vivid, and I've come in contact, maybe kind of a juncture with the spirit world, and I had solved every problem in the world. I knew how things could work out, everything would be fine, and it just everything was in order. Woke up feeling just like a vapor, like smoke, just disappeared entirely. So there is hope out there. But I think the problem is in today's world, people are so busy, their minds jumping from thing to thing, that their vibration gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
They're doing no personal development at all. It's a shame because you don't go forward that way. We've been going backwards for centuries. It's unfortunate.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate.
When
That's
you
Because I
when you
feel like everybody is more to themselves. It's about them. They don't want to, help
Well,
that you
they ignore the connectivity. They think they're like all individual people, which leads to more
yeah,
depression, more anger, more frustration. We're all connected in, you can't even deny it undeniably, but nobody feels it.
right, exactly. Because
When you
there's so
do,
much on computer,
yeah,
like it's more on computer, dating on computer. I tried that dating and I'm like, I can't do this because I have to have connection, it
sure.
was really different for me, weird for me to do it.
I think we're evolving through the industrial revolution. It'll take time, but
Yeah.
it has, as human beings, it has to turn around at some point.
What is something that you think someone can do, obviously by disconnecting and getting into that meditative state? What do you think it's someone, because listen, it comes naturally to you, and I don't know. Well, I've got two
Oh, it's
questions.
hard.
Oh, so it's wait, oh, so it's hard for that
It's
to
still
come.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think is that something like what can somebody do to either not only connect with their spirit guides, because some, maybe some can never get there, but what is something that you would recommend people be able to do to at least open the door to that?
It's is making attention every day to kind of quiet the mind, which is really hard. And it is really hard. And just start with like a minute and then gradually move up to 3 minutes. Just trying to keep um your thoughts quiet. And it's not meaning that you're not going to have thoughts. I think people have a misconception that your brain should be completely blank. And yeah, it can get completely blank, but when you're first starting, I think when I was first started to meditate, it was very hard to keep the your mind because I was thinking it has to be completely blank. I can't have a single thought coming through my brain. It would
Never
get
happened.
frustrating because it,
Yeah.
it, it didn't happen. So then now, it's it's still hard, but what you do is you don't hold on to it. So like if you're trying to meditate and the grocery list comes in,
Let
you're
it
not
go.
adding to the list as it goes through your mind. You kind of let it in and let it out. Sometimes it's a mental visual thing. You can have like a little box you can visualize and say, okay, bread in there, and then you shut it.
Compartmentalize, yeah, put it away
Yeah,
simply.
yeah. So it is hard, and it's hard to quiet your mind, but it's so beneficial because we are so in our heads and in our ego that we don't trust anything else. So we don't trust our gut, start trusting our heart, and we only are staying in our head,
Well,
which is
and the paradox is when you unburden the mind and you try
mm-hmm,
to slow things down, that in actuality heightens the vibration, doesn't it?
mm-hmm,
So
yeah,
it's really kind of just the more relaxed you get, it actually changes the structure of your brain waves, which affects your entire being itself. So slowing things down
absolutely,
in your mind actually increases that vibration significantly.
absolutely. Oh, so you're a
It'll
meditator. Are you a
Well,
meditator?
I just studied for so many years, but it scares me. If you actually cross over or you see the other side, it
Mm-hmm.
scares the crap out of people for the first time. It's
Right.
opening up not just a door, like an entire wall is opening up.
Yeah. Yeah.
My dad's been like, so we were talking about this earlier about sports and stuff like that. And my dad was very much always into yoga. And I've got two sisters, and I was the only one that really adapted to that. And I would, in yoga, when I'm doing yoga and listen, you can do yoga at home and I've done it on TV, but I actually feel the energy of being in that studio, that collective energy for me. And you both, obviously, my dad knows me very well. Amber, you've known me just from being with me for the past year and a half that we noticed. But my mind's always going like racing and I'm thinking of different ideas,
Mm-hmm.
different things I want to do. Yoga is the only time that I literally don't think of anything else. Like even when I'm doing Pilates, my mind's thinking about different things. When I am doing yoga, my mind is completely just shut off. And I remember I went through a pretty like rough time in my life at some point. I was living in Chicago and I was going to yoga. And there would be times where just being in that room, I felt like I could just release everything out. Like I'd be like in vinyasa and and I'd just be like crying. Like I just like my mat everyone's like going through their flow. And I would just, because it was such an amazing meditative state of relaxation and clarity that it was
Mm-hmm.
like, it's incredible how that just can, it like literally saved my life. Like I think so. It's
Well,
amazing.
it's a form of meditation. Yoga exercise is a form of meditation. They even have like a walking meditation. So where you go on a walk and they tell you to look at the trees, look at and it helps. Everything helps. And there's just different forms of it, and whatever works for you is what you need to do. If that works for you to help center yourself and get more aligned with yourself, then that's what you have to do.
And there have been people that are washing dishes or something, and just so focused on washing the dishes, the mind becomes like a flat line. They did a study recently with all these extreme athletes, who the climbers, and you look at a lot of Red Bull activity where they ride these bikes on top of mountains and stuff. And when they actually quantify this, when they're in the zone, nothing, they see nothing else. It's like just focus, whatever's in front of you. It slows the brain down to, I don't know if it's an alpha, whatever the wave it is, but it's extremely calm and very, very peaceful. But you're aware of everything around you all over the place.
I'm gonna grab something. There's this book. Jose Silva. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I have heard of
So
him.
he talks about that in this. Dad, have you read this book?
But
Look
I'm
at
familiar
it.
with
You'll
him
love
though.
it. But he talks about that, like the brain waves and how like you, and I'm trying to remember what it is, but in there it says how to meditate. Like, it's a great book, but it literally talks about what you were just saying about how you get into, I don't know if I can find it. It's called like, there's a thing like alpha, like there's alpha mode, theta mode, and delta mode when you're like
Hmm.
meditating. And it talks
I
about
wish, Amber, I wish there, if you could come up with something, I wish there were a way to give people kind of like a little brainwaves for dummies, maybe a 5 minute exercise. Because Americans, we can't think, we can't focus. Some small way to give them a brief insight into that world where they may want to, it may arouse their curiosity to look for more. And I don't know what that method is, but something very, very small, very brief to
I
say,
think just really small as breathing, because just as simple as breathing, because when we are stressed or working, you forget to breathe. And I know that sounds crazy, but we'll breathe very shallow. So it's energy is a breath of life, right? So it's the same thing. You want to take deep cleansing breaths, and if you can just sit, even like how I'm sitting in this chair, if I just closed my eyes and just took like 3 deep breaths and pushed them out, that'll give you a sense of relaxation. And then if you can go further and just kind of concentrate on your breath and breathing and taking deep cleansing breaths, you're oxygenating not only all your organs in your body, but you're releasing anything negative and all that. So that would be a great place to start, is just breathing.
well, people don't
And then
realize
you
the
can start
energy.
to feel a sense of calm, especially in a world, if you're feeling erratic or if you're upset or if you've had, that's when people say, if you're upset and they say, breathe, just breathe. Because we have a tendency to hold our breath.
Well, our energy also comes from the air, from the universe. When you
Yeah.
breathe it, I
Mm-hmm.
did something very, very easy. I like easy stuff you don't have to think about. I do 4 4 4 4 4 breathing. Inhale for 4. I hold my breath for 4,
Yep.
release it for 4, and keep it out for 4. So 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. And it's fabulous. It's great.
and you're just
Yeah.
telling me about this now.
Well, we're
I
we're
do
in the
6.
form.
Yeah, I do count of 6. In for
Oh.
6, hold for 6, and then I push out. But it depends, like, on what your intention. What is your intention? Is it just to calm, kind of let go of the day, de-stress, or if you're trying to connect with a spirit guide, or connect more with your higher self, or it's really an intention, because everything leads up to that. So I think you have to begin kind of slowly and then kind of work your way into that, and whatever you pick up along the way. Some people pick it up like that. They're like, oh
Mhm.
wow, I have a friend in Colorado who I met him, and he was very curious about Reiki. And so I told him, and then the next time I talked to him, he was like, um, I looked up Reiki, and do you have a practitioner in here? I'm like, yeah, my mentor is out there. So I hooked him up with my mentor. And then all of a sudden he's like seeing lights and seeing spirits. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, but that made me feel good, because I unlocked that for him. I helped
Yeah.
him to unlock that. And I feel like that's sort of my purpose here, is to help enlighten people. And I've helped many people who along their paths so far to be more enlightened and lead them to their spiritual path,
I love it.
whatever path that may be. And it's great. And being able to do hair, I get to do that every day. If I can make somebody's day just a little bit better and a little bit more beautiful, and then feel good about themselves, my job is complete. I have the best job in the world.
And you're,
Love
you're like a
it.
hair tender. They'll tell you stuff they won't even tell their spouse.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
noticed that you have white sage in your salon.
Mhm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I have some in my, it probably shouldn't be in the drawer. I've got some in here in the drawer. It probably should not be in the drawer. It probably should be out. But, like there is like that thing about when you're burning white sage, you get rid of the negative energy in there. Is it, so tell me, and I keep meaning to ask you this, and we get talking about a million other different things. Is just the presence of white sage enough to keep away, and maybe this is why you have, maybe don't, so you can clarify, to keep away the negative energy, or does it need to be burned? Tell us a little bit about that.
Um, the one that's in my salon was a gift, so I don't burn that one only because it was a gift to me. So, but I bring in sage and I'll burn it in the loft when I feel like it needs to be saged. I also have I don't know if you saw it, but there's an amethyst crystal in my window, which helps.
On windowsill by the orchid.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And then um so yeah, I don't burn that one, but I bring it in to burn. And Palo Santo is another good one to burn.
What got
Uh
you into knowing, like, how did you learn about this side of what you do? Like, where did that start from? I know, like, in Colorado, you live in an area that has a lot of that
it's very,
mentality,
yeah.
but tell us more about that. Yeah.
Well, I when I was telling you about how I went to the church and sat there and I was crying, I was praying, and I was like, I need help. And it led me, I think within 2 to 3 days, I met my mentor who helped me understand like what I was feeling, what I was going through. And she ended up being a mentor to me and opening up my eyes to what I was seeing, feeling, because it's so confusing. If you don't understand that you're picking up other people's energy and how bad it affects you, I mean, that causes alcoholism and depression and suicides. I mean, it's a huge thing because if you don't understand it, you don't have somebody to teach you or at least open your eyes to it for you to do your own research, or then it's 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 hurtful. It can hurt you picking up other people's stuff. So she taught me that, how to protect myself, how to protect my energy, how to be more open. And then it just kind of opens up another basket, because I'm one of those people like, okay, now that I understand it, now I'm going to do all this research and I'm going to read and I'm going to prove it to myself, because I'm my own biggest skeptic on it until it's proven to me. But everything that I have ever done has been proven, and to me, in my way of thinking. So I just do research, and then I started meditating. And then, because I remember we went to this, it was a new age store that opened up. My friends were like, let's go. And I'm like, okay. So we went and we got this reading, right? I got this reading by this lady, and she said, you're going to be an amazing healer. And I just kind of laughed, because the only healer at that time that you knew were the ones on TV, and no disrespect to anybody, the ones on TV that you touch their forehead and they convulse. And I'm like,
Evangelistic. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not, I don't see myself doing that. But then I didn't understand it, and then I started to learn more about it, and I'm like, oh, I get it. And it's makes me feel really good when I do Reiki, and I sort of do it all the time, even when I am with my clients, especially if I know that they're having a bad day. I'll just kind of this in my head say, all right, turn it on. They need some calm or clarity, or
When you do the Reiki, is it uh, full body? I know there's no
yeah.
contact. It's your hands.
You you can touch, but you have to be given permission. I can't just. I always say, "Do you mind if I touch?" Because sometimes I'll feel like I need to touch a certain area, but otherwise, yes, you stay about 6 inches above somebody, and that's where your range of your energy is around you is about 2 feet, and in there you can feel a lot of things, and you pick up a lot of things in somebody's energy. And if you can get that energy to kind of get bigger, that's good, because that's releasing, and you're not hold on to it.
Is it common for the person you're doing it to feel something on that first session?
They can, yeah. When I tell people that you may feel cold, heat, tingles, lightness, heaviness, pressure, but it should never hurt. It should never hurt. You can have an emotional healing where you have an emotional break, because we
Mm.
hold on to a lot of um, I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to think of, or we just hold on to a lot of emotions, trapped emotions. That's what I was trying to say. Trapped
Because
emotions.
because the emotional center is pretty much in the gut area, where you
Yeah.
get most of your feedback from that area when you're
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I lean more to the medical intuitive side of the energy healing because I can pick up on areas that are either been affected by something or if something's going on. It's just it just depends on whoever the person is. I can always tell if they're having a bad, they need a healing. And then now, so it usually right when they walk in, I kind of like, yeah, this might be a healing one. So I always make sure that I let them know, like, if you feel like you need to cry, don't hold it in because that needs to be released, that everything needs to be released. So, and everybody's usually receptive most of the time.
How long's the average session?
I always do my first initial session and it goes about an hour and 15 minutes. The actual Reiki is usually about 45 minutes. And then there's a discussion about what I've picked up. And they usually have a lot of questions or they felt something and they want, little feedback on that. So then it usually lasts about a half an hour, 15 minutes. So I always go about an hour, 15
So
minutes.
this is kind of a little strange, so don't take this the wrong way. We live in a 55-year-old community.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have no awareness of what you're even talking about. They've never
Mm-hmm.
been exposed to it. Is it possible to bring you in for your services, maybe a few couples, and could you do something with a group of people where they can get sensation? Is that possible? They'll sense
Yeah.
something? What's
Yeah.
the maximum number of people? 6 people, 8 people? Is there a max or a minimum? Or it can be fascinating.
I used to do Reiki circles in my house.
Oh.
So it would be just like a quick little like not quick. We'll do a little meditation, kind of calm the energy down and do a little quick meditation. And then I just invited people to sit in a chair and I would do about 5 minutes or so of Reiki on them. One, it gives them a feeling of it, what's to be expected, especially if they've never had it. And people really liked it.
And everybody's in the same room at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it. That's great. We're doing it.
I want to do that.
Let's
A
do
Reiki
it.
circle.
Come
That's
down.
cool. What do you do? And I've asked you this, but I'm going to ask you again. I know the answer. But listen, there are some people out there who are carrying a lot of dark energy. So whether you get a new client that comes in that you have to like, because when you're doing, when you're styling, you're obviously touching as well too, because you're cutting, you're touching, or whatever that. Or what if someone comes in for Reiki and you feel like, oh my gosh, they need there's something going on here. What do you do? And those are, I guess, two different scenarios. But how do you deal with dark energy, or how do you also how do you manage that?
If it's in my salon, if it's a client and I'm doing hair, that's when my spirit guides come into play and they protect me because I ask for protection. I ask for protection. I ask for it anyway. As soon as I leave my house, I ask for protection. Sometimes I forget, but majority of the time I try to remember to just ask for protection because I know I'm a sponge. My energy is a sponge. And being an empathetic person, you attract negative energy. You do. It's like a moth to a flame. They want that light that you have. And they want to smother it and they want to, because you are so light and you feel good to be around. That energy feels good to be around. So they want narcissists, manipulator people, sociopaths. They want that energy.
Big energy suck is what it is. It sucks it from you, sure.
Yeah. So I just ask for protection. That's when I just say, to my guides and angels, I just say, protect me, surround me with love, light, and protection. And I know that I'm protected. And then I don't feel anything, I'm not taking on that energy.
Have you had an experience where you came in contact with a real dark energy source?
No. I can feel dark, like you can feel like a darkness, but I usually then I just protect. And that's the key thing to being a sensitive person is to always protect your energy. Always, always, always. And however you do it, whatever deity that you believe in, whatever practice you believe in, always just protect your energy. It's probably my biggest thing ever.
That's super hard. As you both know, but I'm in front of audiences, I'm in groups of people that are, I'm there to help them, guide them through like a leadership practice or to motivate or inspire and change the way they look at things and give them some new ideas. And sometimes there's 600 people in a room, 1,000 people in a room, 30 people in a room, 10 people in a room. And that is probably like the hardest thing. And actually, so I asked you this a few weeks ago when we met, and I'm like, now as I get in my car and I had to drive somewhere, I'm like, I ask for like that protection because gave me that method. But
Mhm.
that is hard, like it's really, people are contagious. So it's really hard
Yeah.
to, I wear an evil eye. I try to do like everything I can.
Another practice I've gotten into is like, especially, it's really hard is when it's the people that you love and care about, and they're going through something. You can take that on because you want to help, or you feel their pain or their sadness, and it can attach to you, and it can make you feel sad and angry and all of these things. But you have to detach from it. And I think that was one of my biggest lessons, probably in the last 3 years, 4 years, is that I can still love and care about you, but not be attached to your outcome.
Mm.
That makes sense.
That's a really
So,
good.
but I was one of those people, like, that saying, you can lead them to water, we can't make them drink. I'm shoving your head in the water. Like, that was right. I'm like, drink the dang water. So you have to learn. And then when they wouldn't drink, I would be, I would be so frustrated and angry. And I was like, this is their path and that's their journey. And they have to drink the water when they're ready,
I
when
love
it's their time.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I also, and if I do, I digressed a little bit, but if I ever do feel like something is attached to me, I really, first thing I always do is I ask my spirit guides, is this my energy? If it's not, remove it from me and return to cinder, healed and transformed.
Mm.
And usually, if it's not my majority of the time, if it's not mine, it'll be gone within 30 seconds. If it is yours, if it stays longer than that, then you have to say, okay, if this is mine, what is it? What is whatever triggered in me? Why is this triggering me? Why? And then usually you can work yourself out, because usually if something is triggered you, our emotion is something within you that needs to be healed.
Mm. I'm
Amber,
curious.
what's
Oh,
the origin of Reiki? Where did it come from?
It came from monks in I want to say Japan. Yeah, Japan. And someone may correct me, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But it started with monks, and then Reiki became mainframed by a doctor. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm so sorry. In the 80s, and then he started teaching the way of Reiki, and that's what's his way has become the mainstream
Mhm.
that everybody hears about Reiki. But
I'm
there's
curious.
so many different forms of it, and we use Reiki as just the main term of it, but everybody has their own individual. Once you learn, it becomes your own way of healing. You learn your own way, what works for you, what work, same thing kind of with anything you do. Like, somebody gives you the base form of it, and then you create your own from that.
And you're literally using some of your energy into that person. You're projecting it
You're
out of
not supposed to. It really should come from the universe, or your
them.
guides or higher self, to use the energy. Because if you are using your own energy, you're gonna be exhausted.
But it has to come through. You're the vessel.
It
It
has
has
to
to
come
come
through me.
through
You're a
you.
conduit. Exactly. It's a conduit.
I'm
But
That's how you
curious.
also regenerate yourself. Sure.
I'm curious,
right.
like as you've gotten into this healing, as you were getting down your path, did you, and I know that you have a sister, and I know, like, did you ever like find out if anyone else, like you said that you think that your grandmother also had this capability. Did you ever
Oh
find
yeah, I
out along your path that anyone else in your bloodline had that capability to do what you're doing now, or what you feel like where it came from?
Yeah, I think I know my aunt, me and her are really connected. Like, anything with, if I feel it, she'll say, I know I felt you today. I knew something was going on. And then, but there's other people. I'm trying to think of like my cousins and stuff, if they have. But our family, our background, stems from American Indians. So I've always been very connected to my American Indian side. And I think that a lot of it comes from that, because they, lived on the earth, appreciated the earth. And
Hmm. And you still adapt a lot of that into your daily life now. Like you're super like eating clean and making sure you're getting organic food. And I know I make
trying.
a certain tea because of you.
For what?
I make a certain tea because of
Oh
you.
yeah, that's yeah,
Amber, do you
good.
think every person alive has the inherent ability to do this, just doesn't have
Yes.
the power. I agree.
Yeah. We're all interconnected. Everyone is connected somehow, some way, and you can feel everything. That's why I think right now it's such tumultuous times, is because we feel the chaos of the world. Even people who aren't sensitive, or oh, I don't believe in that or whatever, but you're so angry. Why are you so angry all the time? It's because you're picking up the chaos of the world. You feel
Is
it.
it
We all
crazy?
feel it.
It's a crazy question. Many people have been in analysis over the years, and I think maybe the past decade, a lot of the analysts are working over the phone. So it's kind of phone diagnosis, or phone, or whatever you call the word. Can you do Reiki? Well, you're talking to us right now. You're getting images
Distance.
across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even
Because
you can
energy is energy.
work remotely, basically, too.
Right. Because even right now, it's called distant healing. So it would really, I can still connect with you through here, because in some form this is an energy exchange.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
I love that. And it's, Dad, you've never like been in Amber's presence, but like there's just this like, I guess aura would be the thing. It's just this
How
like
do you feel?
warmth. You just walk,
This
and
is
like
the
the very
energy.
first second I met her, like very first time March 7th of 2023, is like just from the get-go, like you just feel this calm and this like peace when you're in there. It's just yeah, you feel that. So you obviously are living what you are truly practicing what you preach.
Hey, Jamie,
Ah, thank you so
what I
much.
did
And
is,
that makes me feel really good, because I want everybody to feel exactly how you feel when they come into my place, comfortable, safe, peaceful. I want all of that. So that's amazing. I love that you feel that.
I mean, there's so much more I want to ask you, and we're almost at time, so I won't take up too much of your time. But like we could have gotten into the whole side of how you became a stylist and how now you work like independently, and there's a whole other
who
story.
wants to hear about that stuff? This is better. This is
I know
better.
there's so much more to her, but this was like so amazing. So thank
I
you
know.
for taking the
Yeah.
time to share with us
I
about.
can talk about this stuff all day long. I
We're
really
doing
can.
Jamie, we're doing a Reiki circle.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
let's
do
do it.
it.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
I'll absolutely do it.
I have been trying to find time on my calendar. This sounds pathetic. I need to just do it, to actually go and have a session anyway. So and you do them on certain days, but we'll definitely make that happen, because that sounds like just such a, I mean, listen, the more calm and the more energy, the good energy we can have, the better. My dad and I were talking. I think that my daughter has some sort of sensitivity, and like she says things, she does things that I'm like, where would she get that from?
I
You know,
think Amber could, if Amber met her, she'd pick up on that right away.
she
Amber
has
would.
met her. She has
No,
met her. She has met her. It's a really funny story. I brought her there to get my hair cut, and I'll just tell you guys, because there's no vanity in my life. So my hair color is not natural. And so I went with her, and I had all these foils in my hair. There's a pizza place next door. And then I had to wait for my hair to set for a little bit. And Amber had another client in between. I'm like, well, I'll just go take the girls, go get pizza. And Amber's like, you're going to walk over there with that in your hair? I'm like, yeah, what do I care? Literally walked into this pizza place with Hannah. Oh, I said her name again. With my daughter. It's probably easy to find out. With my daughter and her friend. And we walked into this restaurant. People were like, and I had like the whole thing on. They're like, what is this person doing? But
that was a UFO experience.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that was, they were like, alien, alien,
Trying to
alien.
make communication. I love it.
Oh, Amber, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
This
so
was so much fun. Let's
grateful.
do it again.
All right, deal. I want some of this stuff. I want stuffed cabbage for dinner.
No, I'll save you some. There'll be hopefully a bunch left over. That's why when you make stuff like that, it's like a ton. And then you feed a
Oh.
bunch of people and leftovers.
I call that natural propane.
A natural.
Oh, what do you say?
Natural propane. Woo!
Natural. Yeah.
Thanks,
No
Amber.
candles
Bye.
tonight. No candles.
Thank you. All right, I'll
Thank
see
you very
you
much.
soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wow. So cool. Yeah. So cool.
Didn't I tell you all the time?
What?
What did I tell you? You remind me of a man.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But I mean, like, I think it's just so fascinating, like it's just, and
Well, that's what I'm saying. Slow yourself. It goes back to relaxation is the key. The more you slow yourself down, that breathing exercise, it's because there's alternate nostril breathing. This hold for 6, lift for 4. Simple. 4, 4, 4. Box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, keep it out for 4. It
Oh,
makes you feel so energetic because you get your energy from the universe breathing into you. That's where it comes from. That's your chi.
yeah. Well, I think it's really fascinating is that like I remember even when you were at the height of like working and doing stuff, is that you would still find time. My dad sold new homes. He'd be in a welcome home center. You would still find time to go find an area to stretch or do yoga or to like you always did that. So how long has that been part of your practice for? Like I don't remember a time when it wasn't.
I lapsed for a little bit. I did it in college and stuff, but I'm saying it's a practice. It should be as natural as breathing or brushing your teeth. And the feeling you got from when you're relaxing itself, if you like when you do yoga, if you can do it even daily, people don't realize something simple as washing the dishwasher, any activity you're doing where your kind of mind goes into neutral and you're relaxed, you're just in that particular zone. Everything slows down and your vibration increases, opening up to all possibilities.
You know, the other day I was so easy. I walked to go get your granddaughter at school. And I walked and I sat down in the park and I just sat down on the grass. And I'd not done that in a long time where I just sat down in grass. And I was happening to be like listening, I think I was listening to a podcast, whatever it was, but it was just like this calming moment where I just was sitting like in earth or on earth.
But in
In the
contact
grass.
with Earth, absolutely.
Yes. And there was so much power to it. And I realized afterwards how good it just felt to put my hands in
Mm.
the grass and to sit there. And I'm like, you know what? I need to do that more.
Well, that's why I think so many cities are corrupt. You regenerate your own energy through nature, through the forest, through the oceans, through the ground, through the fields. When you're growing up in cities, there's so much concrete. It's just so much cacophony. You can't hear yourself think to some degree. It's a big issue.
I mean, that being said, I think I'm going to go outside and walk barefoot in the grass.
We're doing a Reiki circle. Maybe we'll do it with the family, a couple of couples itself. She'd be fabulous. Get the contact information. We'll get it set up.
I know exactly how to find her and when to find her.
Sounds good to me. And then we were also, I promise our viewers, when I told you remind me of a man, we'll show you in a future episodes not only how you can relax better, but how strong and unbelievable you are. We'll test it out between the two of us. You're not going to
I
believe it.
love that. All right, Dad. Love you.
Another good session, baby. And they're also
Another.
they're crazy. There's no continuity here. We're all over the place.
Somebody was like, "You guys do this once a week?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like you release a new episode every Tuesday. And I said, "Yeah." There's how many people in the world? I don't even know what's the number now. Like something billion of people.
About a couple of dozen, yeah.
But there's that many cool stories to hear. I'm like, we could do this forever. You know, it's just fun. They're like, do you get paid to do it? I'm like, not yet. No.
You have to admit, some stories are cooler than others.
I think they're all fabulous.
You're such a diplomat. And on that note,
I love you. Talk to you
over
soon.
and out. Love you too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye. Come on.
Hey, thank you for tuning into today's What's Your Story podcast.
To learn more or share your story, go to jamiemarco.com. That's www.jaimemarco.com. And we will see you next time.